What it do, anime crew? Hey man, listen, today I'm going to be doing my third and final Patreon rant for last month because my time management skills are exceptional. This one is for Ev, who says, last rant was good. Rant about your favorite YouTubers and which ones most directly inspired your content. I know your channel name is based off the MMA guru, so what kind of role did his content have in getting you on your YouTube journey, if any? If you can, talk about specific stylistic flourishes you got from other people, and now that I think about it, you can also include artists outside of YouTube if there's one that pops into your head that inspired you. Yeah, so a lot to talk about here. I have myriad inspirations, but I guess the first thing to get to that you explicitly mentioned was the MMA guru, who ironically, I jotted down a little list here of my biggest inspirations. He is the one that had the least influence on me. He just happened to be like my favorite YouTuber at the time of creating my channel, and I thought the name was cute. I thought it was a little bit clever for some reason, and I was like, you know what? This is a memorable name. I'm just going to be the anime guru. And I did kind of, to some extent, want to emulate his somewhat irreverent and like crass attitude, but just like bring it to anime instead of to MMA, because it's something that I feel like is a lot less common here. If you watch the MMA guru, you know what I mean. But recently, he's gone off the rails. He's been like a low IQ conspiracy theorist for the past few months. And he's just going down the rabbit hole and getting worse and worse and worse. And, I can't even stand to watch his stuff anymore. I don't even think I'm subscribed. So that sucks that I'm not even a fan of my namesake. But other than that, I watch a metric fuck ton of MMA tube. And the main inspirations for me there are, of course, Lucas Tracy, Mr. Big Meaty Hooks himself. I incorporate a lot of his terminology and vernacular into both my everyday speech and YouTube, just because it's so fucking addicting to say. He has so many little catchphrases. The Peaches and Creamville, whenever I say that. Big Meaty Hooks, Steep by Emelianko, Shamil the Blob Gaziev. I mean, there's just so much. Impose Your Will, Wobblestone, Cobblestone Knees. There's just a million things he says that I work into my daily vernacular as much as humanly possible, just intuitively, because there's something about it that's just such an earworm. That guy, I hate Lucas Tracy. No, he's the best. But main MMA YouTuber that's my favorite, Bedtime MMA. I just steal his jokes sometimes. I think he's really funny. The whole like what it do anime crew thing, that's literally just Bedtime's intro, except I say anime crew instead of bedtime crew. It's awesome. Outside of MMA tube, though, is, obviously AniTube, which is the niche that I occupy within the website. The main inspiration for me was old Digibro. Everything about the way Digi used to like talk about and think about anime shaped the way I view not only anime, but art in general, and probably the world in general. Digi was like my main inspiration throughout my entire teenage years, or like half of my teenage years at least, and just left an absolutely indelible mark on the way I think about anime. Also, think about YouTube. Digi was the first person that I knew of to be doing these rants that I'm doing right now. Obviously, I actually stole the idea from Crunchy Bagels, who stole the idea from Digi, but you still got to give Digi their flowers at the end of the day. And I'm not too big on her channel anymore, but old Digi was a huge inspiration for the channel. Digi also introduced me to one of the other biggest inspirations for my channel, Endless Jess. And Endless Jess used to have an anime channel, My Japanese Animes. I mostly like Endless Jess's confidence and self-assuredness that he injects into both his humor and analysis, the way that he weaves narrative and live action segments into his videos so well are both things that have directly inspired me for shoresies. Kexi, he has that. This makes it sound like I don't think highly of Kexi's content. I think very highly of Kexi's content. I think he's hilarious. But he was the one who really put me on to I gotta have this brain rot editing style with like stuff happening every 2 seconds. And it's got to be constantly funny, and there has to be audio and visuals and like audio overlaying the other audio and like really in your face transitions and constant movement. I'm making it sound like I think it's all like cynical and trashy. I love Kexy's editing. I think it's great. That was one of the main inspirations for me when I was starting out, but unfortunately, Kexy has died and does not exist anymore, except on Twitter, where he comments very inappropriately on that one girl because he's my hero. Let's see, who else? Shout out to Best Onozaki. I think her channel's just called Best now. She has the best, like really long form anime breakdowns. She just almost exclusively does them on Higurashi and the Higurashi visual novel and anime adaptations. But she has the deep dives on lock in terms of just really going into a show, giving a super in-depth academic analysis that covers all of its bases, really gets to the heart of some of the more specific things that make a story appealing and like the philosophy behind what makes it tick. She is absolutely phenomenal. I loved her Vocaloid video. I loved her video she did on that anime Babylon. I loved her Shiki video. That Shiki video inspired a lot of my feelings on horror to this day. And then obviously all of her Higurashi stuff is great content as well. Very emotional stuff. She's the fucking best. She's the GOAT, low-key. Let's see. Crunchy Bagel. He inspired my editing style, I guess, a little bit. The only YouTuber I actually actively keep up with, and he's doing great things over on his channel right now, even if he's moving away from anime a bit. So, all the more reason to step up my game and take his place as the chosen savior of AniTube now that Kexy, Digi, and I don't know if there's any other good ones, are dead. So, we'll take on the torch, and we're gonna rule anime YouTube with an iron fist. So we'll see how that goes. Artists that more indirectly inspired me, just like as general faves, are people I'd like to imitate a little bit more broadly. I'd say Bjork for her emotional candor and the sheer intricacy of her emotional landscapes. That's something that I'm very far from understanding to the extent where I can effectively replicate it with my own spin, but it deeply fascinates me, and I'd like to one day emulate it to a lesser extent. I also deeply fuck with Akiyuki Shinbo, Oishi, Itamura, and just the whole Shaft crew. I really admire their way of like crafting aesthetic and memorable imagery through motifs and stylistic flourishes. That's something I would like to one day incorporate into my content a little bit more, and I've been trying to a little bit more recently. I definitely take a lot of my humor sensibilities from Jordan Peele and Seth MacFarlane in particular as well. I am unnaturally so a huge Key and Peele fan. I'm a bigger fan of Key and Peele than anybody should be. I've seen, I think, every single one of their skits. I've seen all of Jordan Peele's movies. It's all great. It's fantastic, and, I'm a huge Family Guy fan. I will defend that show to the death. There's a lot of it nowadays that's not as good, but I think that show is timelessly hilarious, and it definitely inspires my style of humor. Another thing I'd like to mention is that many of the things I aspire towards are things I've seen from people I know in my real life. I have very talented friends and family in many fields. Almost all of my family are writers or performers in some capacity, and outside of his content, I am friends with Monsieur Crunchy Bagels, and you know what? Gotta give him his flowers. It's taught me a lot about being a YouTuber, the creative process, and the emotional roller coaster of it all. And that's definitely been something actually pretty influential for the way I see my channel and how I want to approach it. That being said, I would say far and away my biggest inspiration, which, I do feel a little bit bad saying because I don't think my channel is like that good yet. Like, I don't think I'm able to emulate at all what this guy does with his content, but Badlands Chugs is huge for me. I've been a Badlands Chug supporter for as long as I can remember, and if you guys haven't seen the world record burp, definitely go check that out.
Can't do it. Oh my god, this is for you, Rugby.